Hide the women and children. And they start talking in Washington, D.C. Gee, novel concept. Very pleasant good morning. It's Money Info brought to you by Princeton Research with Mike King in Las Vegas and Charles Moskowitz in Boston. We have a cadre of characters checking in today. Casey Quintana from Tsunami Strike over in Tampa Bay is going to be checking in soon. Ross Dinsdale calling from Australia. And Craig Crawford from Texas Gulf Energy just a little bit later. So, boy, we are jammed. Mike King and Charles Moskowitz, how are you guys?
Oh, very good. In deflationary Las Vegas, where home prices have fallen about 11% last month.
What? You've got to be kidding.
Absolutely. We're mired in disinflation.
Oh, man. So, now, where have all the billions gone? Or is it trillions by now, Charles? I don't understand.
Yeah, nobody wants to make any commitments. And by the way, it's kind of hard when you have a, government-backed mortgage agency doing 90% of the mortgages, and there's nobody home to
do them.
Approve.
Yeah. And it's like, obviously, the market is still nervous over the shutdown. Although, we had a contingent come up from the Treasure Coast. We've got this major water issue with Lake Okeechobee and threatening the rivers on both, the Fort Myers and Naples side and over here as well, polluting the river. We've got green algae and, it's a bad scene. And, you're talking tourist areas on both sides of the lake. So, anyway, we had over 100 people show up at the congressional hearings by Congressman Murphy, who's a freshman congressman, but he's a CPA, and it's like, okay, this is kind of cool, and I don't care what party he is. I mean, he's just trying to get something done, and it was great. And he was working with, he's a Democrat, and he was working with a Republican congressman from across the state, and they were just trying to get stuff done, and over 100 people were there from the Treasure Coast, and Nancy Pelosi was very, very impressed. So they have not had a turnout like that in years on Capitol Hill. So congratulations to those folks who want to seem to get involved. Hopefully something will get done. I guess everybody's keeping their eagle eye on Alcoa. They announced their earnings after the bell today. So
Yes,
although with what Mike said,
I can't imagine why.
We get Family Dollar and Costco. They're going to be equally important.
Uh-huh.
I would think even more important.
and they will probably be a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Relative to what's expected.
Well, ironically, Penny's is doing a real about face. I mean, they seem to be hanging in there. I mean, they're seeing same-store sales improving, as a matter of fact.
Well, Greg, you can only have lowered comps for so long before they run into each other.
Well, that's very true. That's very true.
I mean, I was disappointed. We had an order in, 6 weeks ago to buy pennies, and we missed it literally by 2 or 3 cents, and the stock rallied. That purchase order was in at $12.70.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't get it at $12.70, and it went to almost 14. And now today it's up substantially on a percentage basis, back to $8.
Yeah. Well, and
so at some point in time, you can only have down 15 or 20 or 25% month over month or quarter over quarter, before, if you keep the doors open and the lights on, you get a favorable comp.
Right. Yeah. JCPenney, according to Reuters on CNBC, said that they would have $2 billion in cash by year's end, with the recent stock sale that they had accounting for $785 million of that. So,
yeah.
Well,
and that was a 20% dilution in the company's shares at 84 million shares.
Wow. That's wild.
So, I mean, it's no surprise that the stock is down, from, let's call it 12 to 8. That's pretty much in line with their business results and the fact that there's 20% more shares outstanding.
Wow. Yeah. Casey, are you on the line with us yet? Yeah, I guess not. Okay. The debt crisis, obviously, is going to be the big thing that they're talking about in D.C. for the next week or two. But
they're supposed to be negotiating with each other. That's what they're hired for.
Hey, how about
It's
that?
not happening.
How about that, Mike? Yeah.
They're not talking. They're not talking to each other. They're talking at each other.
Right. Yeah. That's.
I mean, they just paraded. I was watching CNBC, getting ready for the show, and they paraded 7 or 8 Republicans who, basically had the same thing to say. We're interested in negotiating. He won't sit down with us. I mean, that people aren't that stupid.
Imagine trying to run a business like that. It's just impossible.
Mm-hmm. Imagine trying to run a family like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about personalities here, and they just don't mesh.
Yeah. It's interesting. What's kind of scary in a way is that apparently Puerto Rico is now talking about they're really going to be reeling if they do have this debt crisis chaos. Puerto Rico has $87 billion in debt, counting pensions, or $23,000 for every man, woman, and child on the rock. Wow, that compares with $18 billion for Detroit. Can you believe that? I mean, that's holy smokes. That's wow.
Well, they don't have a particularly solid tax base there. I mean, nothing gets made.
No, it's mostly tourism.
Puerto Rico.
Well, rum.
Yeah,
rum. Oh.
Tourism and gambling.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
For
and
decades,
once you get away from the Dorado Beach golf course and the casinos in San Juan and old San Juan, if you drive through that countryside, you will see nothing good for a tax base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
That, by the way, is the highest grossing Home Depot in their system.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
You know how much plywood they sell at
inordinate
amount of plywood there.
Well, you figure they get hit with almost every storm. I mean,
Absolutely.
One way or the other, they get clobbered all the time. Whether we get it on the mainland or not. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that makes perfect sense. Wow. That's incredible.
Just one more useless statistic, huh?
Oh, man. Well, Mike, on your travels, you start hearing grumbling from a lot of countries. Japan is now saying stuff, and of course China is saying they're rubbing their hands together, saying, "Okay, do it. We're going to be John Wayne in this situation." I mean, is anything really going to happen out of this, or is this all kind of posturing?
Well, they complain about Obamacare. This seems to be the big fly in the ointment. Yet, they haven't really given it a chance. If you look at the platforms that are setting up in every state, they will tend to throttle the increase in medical costs that have been increasing. They've been skyrocketing for 20 years. For 20 years, we've had nothing but continuous medical care cost increases. By having more competition in healthcare, it is likely that capitalism will prevail and competition will increase, prices will come down. a possibility here that needs to be realized.
Did anybody see Saturday Night Live this past weekend?
No, I only saw it.
They
on
had the
newscast.
funniest skit. They had the funniest skit for in the weekend update section, which is fake news.
Uh-huh.
And the point of it was, how can you be surprised if you say there are millions of people without health care, and be surprised when millions of people without health care try and sign up? And the analogy was, they said, that's like 1-800-Flowers being surprised by Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Well, and Jay Leno took that a step further, talking about all the computer problems at the Health and Human Services, and said that, that would be like 1-800-Flowers being out of flowers on Valentine's Day. So,
Right.
And they really, I don't know about your states, guys, but they've had tons of phone problems and internet problems and stuff here in Florida as well. So,
and that's so surprising considering the amount of time they had to deal with it. I mean, there's a Canadian company that's subcontracted to building the platform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, speaking of costs and prices,
there's
one item has not gone down in price too much.
What's that?
And that's oil, holding at 103.34.
Whoa!
Let's welcome Ross Dinsdale.
Speaking of oil,
Target Energy.
Yeah, Ross, are you in Australia now as we speak?
I am indeed, Mike.
You are. So it's almost, it's a little after midnight?
It's almost bedtime. That's right.
Yeah. Holy smokes. Well, what's going on with your company, Ross?
We've had a fairly active past few months, Mike. We've been drilling a well in the Permian Basin. We've announced the market that that well is very promising, and we're due to bring that on. We'll actually test the formation probably within the next month or so. At the same time, we're also testing a well in Louisiana, and we expect to announce the market sometime soon that the flow rates from that well. So a pretty exciting time for Target.
You got kind of
production is increasing. I think you're well over 300 barrels a day now.
It's closer to 200. So the last figure we put out to market was 250 barrels of oil equivalent per day, which is a very sizable gain. You're right, Mike. Since the beginning of the year, it's around about a 235% gain since the start of the year. So we're very pleased with the progress to date, and hopefully looking forward to producing results similar in the latter half of this year.
Yeah, it's growing very fast. I mean, it really shows a lot of talent in your company. They really know what they're doing. You guys are really
we'd certainly like to think so, Mike. We've got some credit. It's a credit to our operating partners as well. We like to think that we've teamed up with a very good operating outfit out of Midlands, and together we've worked this project well, and it's resulted in not only a production gain but associated cash flows and reserve growth as well. So we're really pleased with the operating results to date, and really looking forward to what this year has to offer for Target.
Now, Ross, where exactly are your wells, I should say? Are they in the Midland, Odessa area?
They are. They're not too far out of Midland town. And I think for me it was quite eye-opening when I went out to site probably about 3 months ago, just to see the incredible level of activity in the Midland Basin. I've been to a few places, and really nothing has come close in terms of the level of activity and the sheer scale of operations within the basin. We're situated pretty close to the Howard-Glasscock county lines. We're next to a very large producing oil field there, which is produced around 400 million barrels, and we like that area. It's been very good to us, and we're working with our partner to acquire more acreage in that area.
Boy, that sounds great. Well, now, how many working wells do you actually have there?
We have 4 at the moment,
Okay.
and there's another one which I mentioned earlier. We call it Darwin 3, which we're due to frack sometime in October, and hopefully bring that on stream not long after.
So now,
Very good.
now is that like horizontal drilling then?
It's actually vertical drilling.
It is vertical. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a fair bit of horizontal drilling going on in adjacent leases to ours, but we're pretty happy doing our vertical wells. They're quite cheap. They're $1.8 million to drill and complete the well, and we're getting really good flow rates from the wells that we've drilled to date. So they're very economic wells.
That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
in the Permian Basin, you have so many different levels of production. It's incredible, one after the other. I think there's 7 or 8 levels. Whereas
That's exactly right, and that's a key differentiating point, I think, between the Permian and some of the other U.S. plays at the minute, which is the amount of intervals there which you can successfully complete in and produce from. It's to the best of my knowledge without comparison, and at the very least it de-risks our operations, because there's other zones that we can complete in if our primary producing zone doesn't turn out to be as productive as we would like.
sounds interesting. Boy, I'll tell you, Ross, it sounds like you're really onto something. And who are your operating partners in this thing?
They're a group called Trilogy based in Midland.
Okay.
Yeah, Trilogy. Very good. Well, the stock symbol in Australia is TEX.AX. That's been trading rather briskly lately. The American new ADR is TEXQY, and that's a relatively new ADR. And so it's just beginning, really, in America.
Now, Mike, you and Charles were talking about that Y designation a couple weeks ago. That is a foreign. That means foreign stock in everyday language.
It's either F. They either add an F or a Y
Okay.
at the end of the stock, so that it's a NASDAQ version of the foreign companies.
Cool. Okay. Well, I had never heard that before a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was really interesting. And really interesting for our listeners. Well, Ross, your projections, say for 2014, 2015 for the company?
We operate in Australia in a slightly different fiscal year to you guys. We finish our fiscal year midway through the year on 30 June, and what we said to the market is that we're looking to year on year grow production somewhere in the order of 4 times, and revenue somewhere in the order of 4 times. So there's meaningful growth predominantly from our Permian assets. So that in terms of numbers, that means that we think after royalties we'll be producing around about 400 barrels of oil equivalent averaged over the full year.
And the goals for next year for over here?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's probably a number that I'd stick to, around about 400.
Okay.
Hopefully some more growth later in the latter half of calendar year 14.
Okay, Charles, any questions for Ross?
Not a one.
Well, thanks so much, Ross. Thanks for interfering in keeping you up, but we sure appreciate your calling in.
A pleasure, Mike.
Thanks, Ross.
Terrific.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, it's got to be, if not midnight there, it's got to be maybe even a little past midnight there.
It's like 10:25. They're like
is it 10?
3 hours ahead, and you reverse day to night. and night to day.
Okay.
So it's their night. It's 10:26.
Okay.
It's actually the same time you have.
Okay.
Only you just reversed.
Just reverse day and night. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
but what's amazing is the high skills that the Australians have in mining and drilling. This is their forte. They are so good at it. It's incredible. You take the Australians and you send them next to Americans, and their production and performance is better. It's outstanding. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
Next
question, Mike. Why?
Well, they call it down under. Australians, they call Australia down under.
Oh, I know. Is it a better education system? Are they?
No, I think mining is more their forte.
I don't know whose line this is, but it is. We've really got some real tough noises here. I don't know where it's coming from. I thought it was coming from Australia, but apparently not. Although it seems like it's going away a little bit now, which is good. But, of course, we'll be talking to Craig Crawford a little bit later, and it just, you have to wonder if just the whole preparation aspect of their employees down in Australia is better than what we have. I don't know. I mean, I have no clue.
Well, Lawrence Rowe is their CEO. He lives in Houston, but he has so much knowledge that he certainly has won over my confidence. And I think that the Target is an excellent investment. I bought it myself, and I really believe in the company. TEXQY is the American symbol, and TEX.AX, and of course, we're paid to do investor relations. I have to disclose that.
Right.
And I must disclose I'm holding about 300,000 shares in the Australian market and about the equivalent here.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to chime in and say hello.
Oh, hey, Casey. Hey, you should have chimed in there. How are you?
Yeah, how is Tsunami going?
I'll tell you what, I'm riveted by Target Energy, so I was just kind of sitting back and listening to him. I think he's got a tremendous story, and he's one of the few guys that really does it right.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't heard from you since the photo shoot, so I just thought you just disappeared with the model or something.
He's been so busy.
I'll tell you what, it's been a whirlwind the last month and a half.
Well, give us an update, man. What's up?
Well, we last time I talked to you, we were getting ready to go up. We're getting ready to shoot the spot. We're all about perfection when it comes down to our products, our formulations, everything to do. I don't want to do it halfway. It's got to be perfect. And the footage we got up at the shoot just wasn't perfect. So we kind of had to go back to the drawing board and re-storyboard it and re-script it, and reshoot it. But now we have a piece that's really good. And I'll tell you what, trying to buy airtime right now is really difficult. Everything seems to be bought up. So we're slated to run on ESPN, CNBC, Fox Sports 1, and NFL Network starting on October 28th.
Cool. Good stuff, yeah.
And past that, we've got the new product in. We've adjusted our website, which is pipelinenutrition.com. Have all of the relevant facts to the improved formulation, and we're up to the races.
Now, question: have you put your television commercial on your website?
No.
Got to do it.
Nope.
Yeah,
no, because
or put it somewhere on your Facebook page or whatever you're going to do. Make sure it's out there in some form of social media.
Well, we have it on YouTube.
Yep.
And the reason that we don't have it on our website, the whole purpose of this spot is to drive people to the website.
Okay.
So if they're already on the website, they really don't need to see it.
Okay. Well, hey, that's fine. But
it's if you go to the website though, there's just we have everything you need to know about it.
Well, hopefully
product.
by the time we get up with our TV in the second quarter of next year, it looks like we'll have to get you on there. That could be fun. And I mean, I could see all sorts of stuff coming out of Tampa Bay for WPSL TV. That could be very cool. Something you've got to look at too is it's not on the air yet, but it will be in August, and that's the SEC Television Network.
Oh yes, I've heard about it.
It's all part of ESPN. And by the way, you can thank WPSL TV because of our we were the guinea pig for what is turning out to be the SEC Digital Network produced by ESPN because of the strength of 85,000 folks who happened to watch swimming and diving last year on our website. They decided to start a whole new network, which is what they're going to be doing August 14th. So congratulations to the Southeastern Conference. So,
they're the 800-pound gorilla.
Yep. And you know what you also may want to look at is the Longhorn Network, which as bad as the Texas football team is. But, I mean, again, it's an ESPN network. But yeah, you may want to check with whoever's buying it for you and see if you might be able to get some time there.
That's definitely something that I'll look into.
Cool.
Because we're all about staying within the 25 to 60 demo.
Yep.
Male, sports oriented. Yeah, that's our target.
There you go. Well, tell us about the company itself. I mean, how have you guys been going over the last couple quarters?
Well, things have been going very well. We've completed our first shipment to the Special Operations Navy SEALs. They just absolutely love the product and feel it increases their performance, their ability to do their job. They feel it makes them safer, more effective, because they're not noticing the onset of fatigue as soon as they had prior. So, sales awareness, harassment counts are up, and everything's progressing nicely.
Well, that sounds great, Case. Navy SEALs. Holy smokes. We do have the Navy SEAL Museum right here. Yeah, it's in Fort Pierce. And actually that new movie that's out now, what is it? Griffith or whatever, the captain, I don't know what the name is.
Captain Phillips?
Yeah, Captain Phillips. Yeah. The actual whatever that little orange boat is at our Navy SEAL Museum. So, yeah. No. Hey, it's just you got to come over and see it. Bring the kids over to see it because, I mean, it's really amazing. And it's just, a few miles from where we sit right now. So, yeah. It's certainly if the kids see the movie and then you bring them over here, that would be great. I mean, it's definitely something to see. So what I think now that we're getting a little bit later in the year, what are you projecting for next year?
In terms of new products?
Yeah, well, or just even existing products sales-wise.
Well, I honestly am not 100% sure what I can really talk about can't, because we have all these goofy. We're majority owned by a publicly traded company, Broadleaf Capital. And
Broadleaf Capital is the parent. Right. BDLF is a symbol.
Yeah, BDLF is a symbol, and I'm a little bit nervous making forward-looking statements because I don't know the laws, and I would rather be conservative than sorry.
Oh, yeah.
BDLF for myself.
Well, as long as you say they're forward-looking statements and estimates, you can't be criticized. You're giving your opinion. And I might say that I take the old product, which has alpha-lipoic acid in it, which burns, but it does me so much good that I really love it. I take the older product.
We have an efficacious dosing of alpha-lipoic acid in excess of 850. So, kind of our performance as well as sales strategy is to stack the two products. And by doing so, you're getting the alpha-lipoic acid, which is so important to the body. It's a very, very powerful compound.
Yes, that's great.
So, Mike, how long have you been taking this?
For a couple of years, ever since it first came out, I've been taking it, and it just really makes my day. It's a phenomenal product, I must say.
Now,
I
Charles.
don't know what I'd do without it.
Yeah.
I'm hooked.
There you go.
I really am dependent on it.
There you go. And Charles, you too are taking this as well, right?
Yep. Yes, I am.
And it has helped your racquetball game?
Well, as much as anything can.
Yeah, hasn't made you a better player, but you could play a little bit longer, right?
Exactly. But I can play longer.
Yeah,
It's like the guy driving down the road going 90 saying, geez, I'm making great time. I'm lost, but I'm making great time.
Oh, man.
Oh, well, Charles, I wanted to mention this to you. I took my son to a basketball practice. You sit there for 4 hours. There's not a lot to do.
Right.
And I happened to see a racquetball court. They had a couple of rackets and a racquetball. So, I'll just go and try to speed up a racquetball for a little while. Holy mother of God, that is a fast sport.
Yes, it is.
You want to talk about reaction time?
Right.
I think it's. I'm hooked now. I'm hooked just to try to increase my reaction time.
Yeah.
That is a very
and
fast
and the biggest part of that, Casey, is the fact that it's court awareness, where you have to it's like playing pool. Really, there are only so many ways that the ball can bounce, and it's pretty reliable. Once you have some solid court sense, it becomes a little easier. I've played with guys who outweigh me by 50 pounds and, are older than me, and they stand in the middle of the court and they just, run me around. It's unbelievable.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
It seems to me like it was you have a split second to try to calculate closure time and angle.
Right.
To anticipate where the ball's going to be.
By the way, Casey, I was all ready last night before that 3-run homer to really give you some grief this morning.
No, wasn't that an awesome home run?
It was. There was no
Logatone's
question from the minute it left the bat.
That's right. Yeah.
That is not Logatone's first walk-off home run in a clutch situation. That kid is amazing.
I know he is. And what's so frustrating about it, and of course, we really hang our hat on the play-by-play young man for the Tampa Bay Rays, and that's Andy Freed, who got his start right here at this radio station and doing the St. Lucie Mets in 1994 and 5 and 6. And I'll tell you guys, I hope they can stay in Tampa Bay. They should be on the other side of the bridge. But, I mean, they've got to I just hate to see them go to Portland, which is what they've been discussing for several years. And, because it's a wonderful experience when that place is full. But, unfortunately, it's only full a few times a year.
Don't they have a city lease? I mean, aren't they legally bound here for 30 years or something?
See, that's the problem. And the problem is they're locked into the wrong side of that bridge.
The bay.
Yeah, if they were in Tampa Bay versus St. Pete, where the sidewalks roll up at 5 o'clock after the early bird specials. I mean, it's just on the wrong side of the bay. That's all. It's
okay, but here again, you're talking about the same brain surgeons that built the stadium 10 years before they actually had a team.
Yes.
And you know what?
Craig Crawford. Craig Crawford from Texas Gulf Energy.
Hey, Craig, we're not laughing at you. Believe me. We're just talking about the Tampa Bay Rays situation over there and building of a huge concrete dome that's got to be one of the worst sports complexes in the world. And it's a mess. But anyway, welcome aboard. And what's going on at Texas Gulf?
Well, Texas Gulf, we're excited about what's going on at Texas Gulf Energy. Thank you for having me back on the show.
You bet.
We had a press release out this morning that we've got picked up a small project. We're building a bunch of pipe spools for a midstream gas unit that's in Mount Bellevue, Texas, and we're seeing continued increase in construction services activities in the Gulf Coast and all throughout the Midwest of the United States. And the other exciting thing for us is we're using not just in our IPS subsidiary where we usually use Filipinos and others, but this work was all American-based craft workers and supervision. So we're really excited to have that project come in and getting it started.
Wow, that's great news. That is really good news. And you've got enough workers for all those new projects?
Already got them already have them on site, and we're recruiting some additional workers. So and we've been asked for more. So that's workers, supervision. I mean, it's a very nice project, and it's an introduction to further work. It's actually technically it's 9,000 linear feet of pipe spools for our process facility. So from anywhere from 4 inches to 30 inches in diameter.
So how long is this project going to take?
This will be about 9 weeks of work for us, which is our average project duration is between 10 and 12 weeks, because one of the things that happens with all the owners in this space, in the oil and gas space, is they want their revenue producing units running as fast as they can. So we're going to be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week till we get this work done.
I was just going to ask you if that meant 24/7, but it does. Wow.
Yep. So if you think about it, a 24-hour-a-day project that's 9 weeks long is actually an 18-week project if
right.
you're working a more normal schedule. So.
Yeah.
But we do lots of fast-track work. That's what our team is known for.
Boy, that's great. But yeah, you obviously are continuing to look for qualified workers, though.
We continue to look for qualified workers, supervision, project managers. I mean, that's the sweet spot for us, and we're continuing to get calls from clients with additional projects to look at and bid on and propose on. So very exciting time in the oil and gas midstream and downstream market.
Yeah, despite all of the deflation, oil is holding its price level at 103.50 solid. Just all over the world, it is so important. Energy is probably the most important single line item in the expense budget.
Absolutely. And a lot of people forget oil and gas. This particular project is for a natural gas processing unit. That is the feedstock for all the plastics production in the United States. Polystyrene, styrene, polyethylene, all these ethylene plants that are fixing to be built across the Gulf Coast, that's all natural gas feedstock material. And we all know plastics go into everything. They go into our computers, they go into our cars, they go into our houses. They're everywhere. And that's a huge part of the world's economy.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that sounds great. Charles, any questions for Craig?
Not a one.
Well, I'm always interested in the profitability of the company and how you grow the company, because it's based on high-skilled people that are hard to find. And so what are the wage levels?
Well, the wage levels for our workers, for our craft workers in the field, welders are going to make anywhere from $28 to $34 an hour. And time and a half for overtime. They're going to work a minimum schedule of 50 or 60 hours a week right now.
Ain't bad.
Which adds up pretty fast. Pipe fitters are right there with them. Boilermakers are at a little bit below that, maybe $2 an hour below the welders and fitters. Millwrights, the millwrights are the guys that do all the pumps and align the pumps and all the drive motors and the process units. those guys make a little bit more than the welders and pipe fitters. Electricians make about the same as the millwrights. I mean, they're very, very good wages. A lot of our guys, craft workers and supervision, they'll only work 9 or 10 months of the year and take a couple of months off every year. I wish I had that schedule.
Yeah, where can I apply?
I'm sure there might be people listening right now that have the skills and don't know you. So how can they reach you?
281-867-8400 or 8500. That's in LaPorte, Texas. That's our operations office. We'd love for you to call, and we'll get your name down and make arrangements to learn about what your background is and see if we can match you up with one of our projects.
Craig, what's your
from the investor side, the thing that I have brought up in the past, and I'll bring it up again, this company's market cap is as a matter of growth and the amount of value from each of these new opportunities that come up from any of these new contract jobs is really highly leveraged. I mean, some of these jobs, like this new job that we've been discussing, really matters to the company. We're not talking about $100 million company that's that has the possibility of having a $4 million deal, and so that it's 1/25th of how the company is capitalized. This company is leveraged so that 2 or 3 of these deals in a year really makes a difference to the profitability of the company and the ability of the stock to gain.
Yep, you're absolutely right. I appreciate that. We make very good gross margins. We have to cover our overhead expenses, but as we hit our goal of that 2 or 3 or 4 reasonable sized projects in a year, everything we add after that adds richly to the margin and can help us drive our stock price and continue to plan and grow and look for new opportunities. But you're exactly right. We have what we think are some of the best recruiters in the industry that are out there looking for the most talented managers and supervisors and craft workers. At the same time, we've got a management team that's out every day answering calls from our clients. In the olden days, we had to make calls. Now we're answering calls from our clients saying, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" And that's a good place to be.
It was very interesting in talking with Ross Dinsdale a little bit earlier from Australia, and he was talking about some of his projects, in the Permian area of Texas, and talking about the quality of workers in Australia. And are they different over there? I know you bring in a lot of the Filipinos, but is their preparation better in the lands down under, like Australia and New Zealand?
I guess what I would say, I've never been to Australia. I have a number of associates that are currently working in Australia.
Uh-huh.
The largest projects that are going on in Australia right now are being run by and manned by Americans.
Okay.
And the reason they do that is because Americans have a can-do, get-it-done attitude. We don't know how to accept defeat graciously. We're going to keep on knocking on it till we get the projects done. So our experience, and my direct experience, is I have talked with Australians and Australian companies about ways we can supplement what they're doing, and they always ask, how can we bring more expertise to Australia?
Ooh, okay.
I think they're very smart, but
and they have a gigantically levered economy on the basis of natural resources.
Yeah.
So things that have to be mined or pumped or dug out.
Yep.
I mean, it's monumental there.
Huge natural gas reserves. Copper, steel. It's amazing.
Well, hopefully, of course, you obviously are looking for mines too, and the other side, the business side of Texas Gulf Energy as well. The big news today was that Alcatel-Lucent, which is on the phone side, but they're going to announce 10,000 job cuts today. 2,000 of them are in America, so maybe they can all apply at Texas Gulf Energy. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that and veterans groups.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Well, we think veterans groups are a great fit. It's a little more difficult to come from the phone industry into our industry. It takes a little more time, but we're always looking for people that have energy, willing to dig in and learn new things. And creating a welder is probably, Mike King and I have talked about this before. I think it's a 3-year process to get a first class, what we call combo welder. You're talking about 3 or 4 years of industry training and industry experience to get there.
So is there like an internship program for welders?
There are a number of training programs out there for instance, in Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana, in the states, kind of the states where there are a lot of guys coming out of high school and will consider blue-collar jobs.
Yep.
San Jacinto Community College in the Houston area has like 530 kids, men and women, in their welding training program.
Wow.
Right now. Isn't that amazing?
That's just one college.
That's one college here in the Houston area. And we work with them to help transition those young men and women into the industry. It takes time and it takes money. One of the challenges you have, because safety is number one, is every plant requires that you designate new, inexperienced workers to that industry. And we have to designate them. They have to wear a different color hard hat. In some places, it's a pink hard hat until they earn their stripes. Until that's just a warning to folks. This is a person that is not familiar with working in this plant. They're green, and help keep me safe.
Well, speaking of pink, you mentioned women. Now, are there more and more women interested in welding? That doesn't seem like it would be a logical choice for them, but you never know.
Yep, absolutely. We're seeing more and more women make that choice, and they make excellent welders because they're very artistic about the way they do it, and they're hard workers. And another thing about welding, which we don't always think about, I'm a pretty big guy, but they laugh because a lot of welders have to get into very confined spaces in order to weld up boiler tubes, weld up heat exchanger tubes, pipe. They don't always route the piping in the most ideal way. So, the women are very good when you can get them focused on that, and they love the money they can make.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, look, $24 an hour, 50 hours a week, $60,000 a year. That's not so bad.
Adds up fast, yes, sirree.
$60,000 a year. I bet. Again, why don't you give your phone number so people can call you?
So Texas Gulf Energy, TEXQY, 281-867-8500.
Very good.
Well, that's great.
Thank you.
Well, Craig, thanks a million for being with us and giving us an update there, and we'll be talking with you soon.
Thank you for having us on the show. Y'all take care.
You bet. All right. Boy, I'll tell you, we had the hat trick today, Michael. We had Craig just on and Ross from Australia at 10:25 at night. And then, of course, Casey Quintana giving us the update on Tsunami. So
yes, and I have to also do a Rule 17B, disclosure that I own shares in Texas Gulf Energy. I have for several years. And we also get paid to do investor relations. That's all required, Rule 17B.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that next week we're going to have Ghazi Haj from Grill It actually in.
Oh, he's my favorite.
At the station.
Whoa! Hey,
Right.
I didn't go for that.
With food.
Aha!
Oh, wow.
for you
Maybe
guys
I'll
to
come
try.
down.
Yeah, come on
Holy
down,
cow.
guys. Yeah, why that would be a great time for both of you to pop in and do the show live from here. There's plenty of
Wow.
room. Plenty of room. Yeah, that would be
Sounds
fun.
like fun.
Okay, and just so that everybody knows, the market is down 60. The S&P is down 7.5. These are pretty much the lows of the day. We're also down, I think, 12 out of the last 14 days, which is the mirror image of what happened in the first week of September while everybody was looking for a down market. We were up 11 of 13 days. But we're getting towards some very important support levels in the market, and I wouldn't be surprised at any good news would be
Well, what do you think
monumental to this
of
market
the
here.
vertical foot Christmas tree type spread in the S&P? So like it was along the 167 foot short to 65, the 63 and the 60, where you have a window of opportunity to make money if the market drops to a certain level, but not too much further.
Right.
So where do you see the market dropping?
And those spreads they make a great deal of sense. The only issue that some people will have in it is that it's a fairly complicated strategy, not for us who discuss it and understand it, but a lot of people who trade options, either long or short, puts or calls, or covered rights, like we initiated today, won't be approved for those type of transactions in their account.
Well, you have a lot of VXX positions. I mean, you have a couple of the VXXs. In
Right,
fact,
and I
you
wrote
also have the
against them.
RWM. Why don't you explain what the RWM is?
The RWM is the opposite of the Russell 2000. In other words, if the Russell goes down, the RWM goes up. We just added to those positions a couple of weeks ago, and they are a little higher. Now, today, in the VXX, which is the VIX, which is the S&P's VIX, it is also a reverse. The VIX goes up as people pay more and more. It's really an indexing of how much people are willing to pay for puts as opposed to calls because they think the market is going down. Now, we paid in the neighborhood of about, I think our average price is $17 and change on the VIX. We just bought some at $15.05, and we had some before at $20.35. What we did today was we actually sold someone calls against the position, which means that should the market stabilize or start to go back up, the VIX goes down, which means that calls also go down. It's a very conservative strategy. We wrote the 16s, which expire in just 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks, a week from Friday.
Wow.
And we got $1.16 for the 16s. That means that if it stays up above 16, they will take away the VIX that we actually own, but they'll pay us $17.16 because they take it away at 16, plus we got $1.16 for writing them.
There you go. Wow. All right, Charles. Hey, boy, is he on it, huh? And Mike King. Money Info brought to you by Princeton Research, WPSL, Port St. Lucie.